Oh, we have fancy TK. I didn't get the memo.
All business today, Daryl.
I didn't get the
All business.
memo. I feel slightly underdressed.
Okay. Nobody's nobody's gonna outdress me, I tell you.
Nobody's gonna outdress TK. Where are you heading after?
Showings,
Showings, in-person showings, eh?
in-person showings, socially
Wow.
distanced. I swear.
Socially distanced in-person showings,
I,
hey?
I swear. I'm not gonna go out and show houses and stand with 3 to 4 feet between myself and the buyers. There's just not a way. There's just not a chance. No way. Not me. Not me. I tell you.
Have you been vaccinated?
No. But I'm hoping to get vaccinated.
Is this on your bucket list?
I think it's on my things to do list. I think a bucket list is a little bit too far down the road. I think it's like on like the immediate things to do. So, what about you?
I have
You
not.
should have
No,
shares
I
in
have not.
Pfizer.
I have not. Shares in Pfizer. I saw this
Yeah.
funny video yesterday. My daughter showed me this TikTok video of these neighbors, and
Hmm.
one of them had a third eye, like a
Hmm.
googly eye in the middle of his forehead. And the neighbor goes to him, "Oh, AstraZeneca, right? It was 5 years later of the pandemic." And the guy goes, "Oh, AstraZeneca, right?" He goes, "Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?" And he goes, "Oh, I had, I don't know, Pfizer." And he pulls out his tail. And they're like
Yeah.
having a laugh together. And they go, "Oh, no, there's J&J." And it's like this zombie-looking, mangled guy walking towards them. I thought it was kind
Well,
of
that's
funny.
completely 100% unrealistic.
Yeah, but it was funny. All right, here we go. Please subscribe to the channel. Please.
Hey guys, YouTube's got an algorithm and it really, really help us out a lot if you could like, comment, and subscribe. This is how we can get more information out to more people and share the message of Toronto real estate.
In
Thanks.
that order. Like, comment, subscribe, and hit the damn bell.
Yeah. And I think the government was saying though 75% vaccinated and or first dose and 20% both doses, they'll start to
Wow.
open things up again, like borders and all that kind of stuff. So I want to be part of the solution, Daryl, not the problem.
Yeah. That's typical for TK.
Yeah. So what's
I prefer to be part of the problem.
you question the solution. Let's just say that.
I listen. I'm not anti-vax. I'm not gonna take it. I'm just waiting a little while longer to see
Or
what
what?
happens to the rest of you. Because I don't trust the research and the timing in which they did it.
So what's your experience in vaccine research studies?
Well,
How many
that's
studies
just
have
it.
you looked over?
It's absolutely zero. So I
Oh,
prefer
okay.
to just not inject myself with things I don't
But you
understand.
looked into this. You looked into this study.
No, I
Oh, okay,
refuse
so
to
no
look at
studies.
everything unless it says real estate in the
You got a
title. I'm
hunch.
leaving it
You got a
alone.
hunch. You're like,
Listen,
I don't know.
it's not like I'm
I got a
going
hunch
out
about that
there.
guy.
I don't go out and like spread my misinformation. I don't really like talking about it. I don't go
Yeah.
out there pretty much at all. But if I do, I'm super
Don't talk to
responsible
anybody.
about it. No, like
Yeah, I
I
don't
go
talk to
to
anybody.
I might go to a bank or a bank machine. My wife will go to the grocery store from time to time, and other than that,
It's
we're
it,
like, I think we're doing our part. We're staying away from everybody because we are not getting vaccinated. I
the
think that should be an option. It should be like
the
take it, don't take it, and somewhere in the middle. Maybe going to take it later. Check.
it's a sensitive topic. It's a sensitive topic. So
I
when you're meeting new
love
people,
sensitive topics, though.
when you're meeting new people now you can't just start bringing up the vaccine topic because one
No.
person can start going down the road you're going down and other people can go down the
Oh,
everybody needs to get it and all these people are like
it's
they're
bad
sensitive.
news, man.
Yeah.
It's bad
So you
news.
just
But
You just don't
everybody
mention
wants
it.
to talk about it. That's the thing. And then it's like, what do you do?
Politics, religion, vaccines. Just 3 topics you don't bring up.
Money's normally one of them too.
There you go. You leave it alone.
But we talk about all of them as
talk about all that
much as
stuff.
possible. Why the hell not?
Yeah.
I like it.
Well,
A lot of
I
stuff
wanna hear
going
what
on
people
out
have to
there,
say.
eh? A lot of stuff.
So we
in
got
the
a
real
guest
estate
today,
market.
right?
Yeah, we have Tom Storey. Again, round 2. I like that guy. Which
Awesome.
means
Yeah, me too.
I'm going to be happy because we get to talk about condos. Condos. Which should be a hot topic now, no?
Condos are hot.
Condos are hot. Rent is
Mhm.
going up. Everybody is happy. And what do we want to do? Let's slow it down. This is too good right now.
Who said that? Who wants to slow it down?
Everybody wants to slow it down.
Not everybody. I mean,
Not
there's lots
everybody,
of people who
like
want
the
to sell
Bank of-
right now who want it to keep going.
Bank of Canada doesn't want to slow it down, that's for sure.
But what about people who own houses at the Bank of Canada?
People like at the actual
Maybe they're
Bank
thinking
of
about
Canada,
selling.
like on
Yeah,
top of
maybe,
it.
maybe the employees. Yeah, maybe they're like, hey, I'm thinking about selling. Let's not do this yet. Can we wait till after September?
Yeah. Tiff's like, hold on a sec. I plan on listing my house next month, so we're just gonna keep the gas on a little
Dial
bit
it up
longer.
a little bit. Yeah. What a predicament to be in.
Imagine if you were the guy who had some control over the real estate market. What would you do?
Well, what would I do today?
Okay. As opposed to what? Yesterday?
Well, I'm
Tomorrow?
just saying,
No,
there's-
what would you
there's-
do
there's
tomorrow?
different options coming up.
It's Sunday, so
Tomorrow
like
morning, if I woke up and I was in charge of the real estate market,
yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
I would make it a lot easier for buyers to be able to buy.
Okay. This is rhetoric unless you have a plan.
Okay, good.
Yep.
At least we're on the same page.
Yep.
And I would make it a lot easier for sellers if they wanted to sell. Right?
The TK utopian
It's a
ideal.
perfect plan. What could go wrong?
Nothing other than Tom Storey interrupting your brilliant plan here.
I thought that was a
Thank
great
God,
idea.
though. Yeah, I mean, it was well thought out. It
Well, it's
was
good because I didn't have to come up
concise.
with anything else.
No gray area there at all.
I don't have to come up with any actual facts about anything.
What do we need facts for? Tom Storey in the house, round 2.
What's going on, guys?
How are
Morning,
you?
Tom.
I'm doing well. I'm up at the cottage. It's nice finally outside, so no complaints here.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
Is
That's
this,
the place to be.
Did I see where was it you? You bought a new cottage throughout this thing? I think I
I
remember
did. I'm
seeing
actually
it
at
on
the-
Instagram, right?
Yeah, I'm at the family place right now where I'm closing on my cottage in 3 weeks. So pretty excited about that.
Ooh, cool.
Whose grave did you have to walk over to get that thing? Holy
Yeah.
smokes.
You know,
Right?
you when you're in this industry, you have some helping hands sometimes. So even though I'm licensed, obviously, I didn't try to find myself a cottage because I don't know that market.
Yeah.
I ended up finding something off market through a realtor I knew locally.
Wow.
So it worked out, but still, it was a 6-month process. It wasn't easy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Off market?
Yeah. That's a golden goose right now.
Was it off market or was it on the market?
It was off market.
Ooh, nice. So you'll find
That's
out if
it.
you did okay later, I guess, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna hold it for a long time. So honestly, I don't care.
I love
Like,
it. Yeah, great. Smart.
Yeah.
Tom's so
He's
smart. I like him.
He's good. You can't lose with waterfront, in my opinion. Whether markets go up or down, I think anytime you're looking at waterfront, it's just like there's only so many good lakes and good spots and everything else too,
Well,
right?
and we looked at the chart. His mentality is, I'm buying this. It's mine. It's not an investment. It's like, so what's the chance it's going to go down? He's like a young guy. He's going to own it till he's dead or pass it on. Like it doesn't
Passing
even
it
matter.
on to the great grandchildren
That's-
of Tom Storey.
You know, I keep seeing all these articles coming out, and maybe not as much recently, but like the last 2 months, it was like next generation, our kids will never be able to afford real estate. And I kept thinking, like, if we were better now at buying investments to pass on, where like on my kid that doesn't exist, 19th birthday, instead of giving them a stupid car that they don't need, I give them the keys to their condo, which is almost paid off.
Yep. Family trust. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Those are
that's
important
one.
things to set up.
It's one. On one hand, it's good, right? But they need to learn how to do stuff because I mean, if they're handed everything, they turn
Well,
into
you
idiots.
incorporate that as part of the trust, right? So whether it be a condo or a cottage or whatever it is, they're taking care of it, and you're coaching them and showing them how it works, and whether it's collecting rental income or paying taxes or putting in the dock every spring, you kind of have that sort of real world learning experience that the kids get to have. There's lots of families that do that.
Absolutely
smart move.
smart. Cool.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say, TJ, do you see, because I see this a lot in our side of things, like just equity redistribution, whether it's refinancing or passing a property down, like that is what I see a lot in terms of where my, especially first-time home buyers, are getting their down payment from. It's
Big
not,
time.
it's not salary.
Right down to the parents selling their properties just to help the kids in going into a rental. If they just don't have the wealth, they'll say, look, I've earned my my equity, and I've done what I needed to do, and this is maybe something I would have done later on, and they're selling their properties to help their kids to be able to get into something. And then another family I saw this week who's struggling to sell, so their agent asked me just to kind of go and do a walkthrough to see what's going on, because they haven't been able to sell it in the last 3 weeks, and they've closed on the property that they bought for their kids. So they own this other property that's like multi-millions of dollars and stuff. So obviously they had the wealth to do it, but that was a house that they never planned on selling. Like, it was just like, kids' plans change. It's what we got to do. And they're just throwing it all into that family fund, which makes sense when you think about it. If we really are all about our kids, and whether we give it to them in their 40s or 60s or after we pass, like, what's the difference? As long as the money's going to the right place.
Totally.
Yeah. So what's on the docket today, Darryl?
all kinds of stuff. I mean,
You're like the guide on our show.
I
Take
am
us
the
down the road you want us to go
show
down.
Sherpa.
You're the show Sherpa.
I'm the show Sherpa. Look at me. Thank you.
Get us to the top safely.
I will be wearing a different costume next week, I promise. Okay, well, I don't know. I like some of the stuff that Tom's been talking about on his channel. I mean, obviously, we all know that the market is rip-roaring, even though all of the articles said it was slowing down over the last week. So that's kind of out there. But one thing that Tom has talked about recently that I would love to talk about, and I'm happy to have somebody to discuss it with, is NFTs. I fucking love this stuff, man. This is crazy. $500,000 for like some fake piece of Mars renderings, and somebody bought it.
You know, one of the best comments on that video was, so someone paid $500,000 for a Sims house. And I was like, yeah, like basically that's what happened.
Explain that. So
you know, at the end of the day, like, yeah, so it was a Toronto artist. Her name was Krista Kim. And so when I say that a virtual house sold for $500,000, you know, at the end of the day, it's a piece of art. What you're buying is digital art. But it was just a rendering, a 3D rendering that you bought, and you are now the one-of-one owner. And someone, based on the valuation of what Ethereum was when they purchased it, spent over $500,000 of real money to own this virtual house. So it's really interesting. I mean, the blockchain is everything in terms of how this actually works and why it would be worth something, and how there's only one of one. Like, this is it. This is what you're looking at. And there's a video, Darryl, like a 2-minute video, just going through it, and like,
yeah, it's crazy.
Looks like my son's Roblox. Like...
So, but hold on a sec. So this girl made this rendering, sold for $500,000. This other guy in California, did you read about him, the realtor who tried to sell a house as an NFT, and it didn't sell?
I haven't seen that one yet.
So there's this other guy, I forget his name, young guy, thought it would be a good idea, and I agree with him, actually. I think he was just way too early. But so he had somebody do a rendering of a real house with some video, all kind of freaky and weird, NFT style, and then had an actual house attached to it that had like rental income and was like a physical house, and he posted it as an auction, as an NFT, and not a bid, man. Not a bid. TK's
so was
smiling.
The actual house built? Was it built,
Yeah,
the actual
it was
house?
just
or was
like
it just a
old house renovated plus the rendering. And the guy, like, there was no price. It was just like, somebody buy this thing. Use Ethereum. and it went nowhere. Crazy, right? But somebody will buy a $500,000 rendering of something that doesn't even exist.
I guess if they had the Ethereum, they're thinking Ethereum's going to go up more than that house, so they're like, I'll keep the crypto, no big deal.
Right. And
That's part of it. Is you look at who's buying this and what they're buying it through. All of these sales are happening through Ethereum, and it's almost like found money in its own way, because the person that spent $500,000 in Ethereum maybe at one point made a $20,000 investment that turned into that over the last 3 years because of what crypto's done.
if even
So
that
it's almost
much.
found money, right?
Yeah, if even that much.
I hope so. If they did end up buying that, especially the person who bought that rendering that you're talking about, I hope they were like early on investors where they were in like $100 and they're like, why not?
But listen, there's zero doubt that these kind of transactions are the future of real estate. I mean, an NFT is basically like, it's a smart contract. You've heard about these smart contracts, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's all it really is. It's just an easier way to trade the real estate. It's a matter of time before all we hear about is NFTs in real estate.
So explain that to me then. So why is it an easier way to trade real estate?
Well, we're going down a serious rabbit hole here that, one, I'm probably not the best to explain, and two, I mean, it's interesting. Okay, so Bitcoin, if you know Bitcoin or if you know about blockchain and how blockchain works, it's decentralized, right? So instead of one corporation or one company logging all of the data for something specific, it's spread out over multiple people's computers around the world as a double check. And that's basically what it is. It's a ledger double checked by multiple other people, rather than one company saying, yep, this is right, or nope, this is wrong, right? And so what happens is now you start putting titles of properties on an NFT and you trade that token to somebody else in a one-to-one, easy, smooth transaction that doesn't involve third, fourth, fifth, sixth parties that don't really need to be there, that are just currently part of the system now. How'd I do, Tom?
Okay, let me give you the naysayer.
You explained it better than I could have.
Let me give you the naysayer. So I own an asset. I own a hard asset, and I'm
Yes.
looking to sell it, and it's worth $500,000.
Yes.
Why would I want to take a currency that's got more volatility than the dollar? Why would I want to trade it for something that I traded for $500,000, I got $500,000 in an NFT, crypto, whatever the case may be, and then all of a sudden that's worth 10% less 3 weeks later. I know that the dollar is not going to drop 10% in those 3 weeks, and I can do what I want with that money and maybe reinvest it in another asset. So is it strictly people who are bullish on cryptos who would be interested in that, or is it really something that is going to be facilitating the transaction and saving any of those third, second, fourth, sixth party fees? What
do you say, Tom? What do you say?
What do you say on that? I like to be the naysayer, right? So
Yeah. So I think it's obviously going to be the future in some capacity, but NFTs in general, the fact that they are non-fungible means like you can't trade one for one. That's it. Like it's one thing. And the example that every video talked about and I talked about in mine is that you can go see the Mona Lisa, you can take a picture of it, but your picture's not worth anything. But the actual thing is there, and you can't trade it for another Mona Lisa. Like there's one of it, right? So the way that I look at it, do both of you have kids?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. Do they play any online games on their phone and ask you for your Visa card to buy skins or something? Or do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Hold on. I'll give you my card in a second. Hold on. I'm just recording. Yeah, like every 2 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same thing. And it's like for them to show their friends in this game, they have this special thing, which you need to trade real money. Now, it's kind of like NFTs before it got to NFTs because it's happening within this online game.
Yeah.
But if you look at anything, so brands of clothing that we wear, I'm wearing Apple AirPods. Like I have a watch that's a certain type of watch. And I wear these things because one, I like what they do, but two, it also like shows my personality in some way. And I think even just moving away here, we're going like, big level away from just real estate, but just in general. If you could own, so like good example, Austin Matthews on the Leafs, he had an NFT that came out and he sold it and they went for a lot of money.
A lot
And
of
someone
money.
someone owns his one of ones for these specific things. And so it's almost like online currency to show off who you are. It's no different than wearing a specific type of clothing, or like Supreme, and why those shirts sell for $800, but it's the same piece of cotton that could sell for $10. It's kind of like that whole mindset where, is there a way? And if you're associating it with a real house, I think that's kind of cool. And part of the Krista Kim one that sold, if you went down the article, they actually said that the 3D rendering of the furniture in the house could actually, through 3D printing, turn into real furniture, and the person that bought it owned that as well.
Cool.
So
It's there's a
like,
novelty, but there's also, that one of one factor that makes people feel good.
the best thing I ever heard about it was Gary Vee basically said, like, 99% of this is going to be worth nothing.
Nothing. But
But
it's the same as art. It's the same
Yep.
as art,
Yep.
right? Some
Yep.
like, look, my daughter has a couple of paintings here. They're worth a ton to me, but like, I don't think anybody will pay more than $4 for them in a garage sale one day, right? But then
Yeah.
one day, all of a sudden, she could like be famous, and somebody will say, "Oh my God, I have this kid's stupid little painting. It's worth $1 billion now."
So I guess the point is this. I mean, to a certain person, there could be value in trading in NFT, could be trading any asset for crypto. I know Tesla, I guess they've made an announcement now where they're saying that Bitcoin's no longer going to be accepted, right? So not sure what the whole story behind that is. The
it was
likelihood
because of the mining for it
Okay.
caused fossil fuels, and Elon didn't like the idea that mining for Bitcoin was actually ruining the environment.
or it was all just a big publicity stint from the beginning, right?
No. There was actually charts that showed after he bought it that
Yeah.
the level of usage and trading went up so much that the amount of energy used was like catastrophic if it continued along that path. But anyways,
Yeah.
okay, so we're going down a crazy rabbit hole. I want to make one point.
Real estate related.
Well, but listen, I'll make one last point with this because I think it's 100,000,000% the future, and if I'm going to try and have something to do with it. But have you ever used PayPal?
All the time.
Okay. Have you ever
Yep.
sent an e-transfer?
Mhm.
I'm telling you, 10 years ago, this is crazy talk. Maybe 15 years ago, this is crazy talk. Before the pandemic, there was zero chance my mom was ever going to shop on Amazon. Zero. Now all she does is shop on Amazon.
But it's dollar for dollar though. I'm
No.
trading dollars for dollars. When
No,
I
what
have
it is-
something I know this is worth so many dollars to me, why would I want to give it to you for something that may or may not even be worth those dollars, those same amount of dollars, when he's willing to pay me those dollars?
It's ease.
To
It's
me,
the
that's
ease.
the challenge, and I can't get over that part.
It's the ease of not having
PayPal, you PayPal
layers.
me the money. Give me the money, PayPal me.
Right, but
Venmo, whatever. Send me something.
But it's the ease of not having extra layers. Is that what people want? People don't want all these added layers in between them and the stuff that they want when it's unnecessary, right? And that's
But
what
I think that those crypto banks, whatever, they're Binance and Coinbase, don't they have transaction fees as well?
they do
There are transaction fees associated when you buy it. Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure. But it's a smooth.
I think, like, if you make anything convenient,
Yeah.
Amazon's the number one. Like, look at it. It's convenient. It's why we use it.
you can buy a
If you
house
make it
on
convenient,
Amazon.
people will use it.
You can buy a house on
That
Amazon.
let's go down that rabbit hole.
Okay.
Is good, like eBay and Amazon and all these type of more mainstream type of trading for housing, going to be more popular in the future now that we've had so many virtual transactions take place over the last year.
Have you ever bought
So
anything
I'll
on?
give you my
Have you ever bought
Okay,
anything
Tom.
on Facebook Marketplace?
Yeah, but I still go see it before I pay for it.
Ah,
Good-
okay. Here
good
we go.
point.
Here we go.
Nice. Okay, Tom, let's hear it.
So early on, when the pandemic started, we did sell a few properties virtually, but they were only to buyers that had already sold their property and were in like a must-buy situation. Since then, everything we've sold, the person is still going into the house and seeing it. So could Amazon or Google or any of these marketplaces, Facebook, be a place where you could put the properties for sale? I think absolutely, because the reality is wherever the eyeballs are is where a seller would want their property to be. I think the flip side of it is there are many companies right now. A lot of them are taking up a little bit of market share in the States, but mostly in markets with lower price points. Where, let's say, Darryl, you have a house and its market value is $500,000. And I could say to you, I'll give you 450 right now, cash, firm, give me the keys, you're out. Is that convenience worth the lower price point and potentially higher fees associated with it? Because these platforms, they've created the ease and convenience, but you have to decide if it's worth it.
Yeah, I was looking at Redfin and a couple of these other ones just yesterday, trying to figure out what the hell is it that they do. And that was the only thing that I could find is like that quick, easy, like, we'll buy your house right now, cash, like, give us the keys and go whenever you want to leave.
So in Europe right now, so Tom, you're 100% right. Beginning of the pandemic, I sold a guy's house. He bought in Belleville, sight unseen, virtually all that kind of stuff. But otherwise, it's not popular here in Toronto because it's just not where our buyers are coming from. But in Europe, it's actually a phenomenon right now. So there's places in like Portugal, South UK, like these real vacation destinations where virtual buying is actually very popular. There's a place in the UK where people were paying 10,000 up to 10,000 pounds just to have a showing because of the market conditions. Just to go and see the property, they were paying up to 10,000 pounds. So there's a lot of things that are in bigger, and these are high. Some of these are vacation destinations in like European cities that are like, I don't know, they're probably expensive luxury real estate, maybe €1 million, whatever that number would be, but it's not just like the cheap low end stuff. So it's a really interesting concept that I think has its place, dollar for dollar, but it has its place, the online marketplace in the future for real estate.
I I totally agree. I think the European markets, from what I've heard, don't have the same centralized MLS type of systems that we have in Canada. And Canada actually has the best one. The US is a bit more spread out depending on state. But in Europe, as far as I'm concerned, from the conversations I've had, is most listings are open listings. So you could see a house with 4 for sale signs on it, and whichever agent brings the buyer first. So it just maybe that's the best avenue for the visibility of the listing to be on those marketplaces, because the centralized system doesn't exist. But it's a good question.
Awesome. But sorry, Darren, I just wanted to go down that point there.
Yeah, no, that was good.
That's good.
What was the point, though?
The point was that real estate, needs to evolve, and that you asked me in the beginning before Tom jumped on, what would I change about the real estate market tomorrow? My answer was I would make it easier for buyers to buy and easier for sellers to sell, right? Because I don't have all the answers, but if that's a way to do it, then that's just one more tool. Like Tom said, sellers want their properties to be as visible as possible to as many people as possible. So if that's one more tool, I don't think anybody's done it well enough yet. But that could come, yeah.
No,
I think eBay has
gonna
probably
come.
been the leader in that in the beginning, right?
For
Oh,
selling
it's
houses.
coming. Like
It's coming 100%.
100%.
And Amazon's got to
100%.
be the
There's
one,
been,
right? Amazon does everything.
you would think, yeah. And there will
Yeah.
be a certain percentage convenience factor of people that would just like things to be easier and willing to pay a slightly higher fee or take a lower sale volume to make it happen.
Mm-hmm. There'd be like an SPIS signed by the seller that says, this is what the property is all about. This is what you're getting. So give people the comfort.
Yeah, smart contract.
You make anything easy
on
for
a
people,
coin.
they'll consider it.
Smart contract on an Ethereum coin. Boom. Done. Thank you. Okay, let's move on.
Okay.
So now another point
right.
that we discussed was TK mentioned that, you don't want to put your money in, you want to keep your money in cash because it can't go down by 10%. So tell me, what have we seen recently with the dollar? Has the value of the dollar gotten us more value of late or less? Is the dollar worth less than it was a year ago? Can you buy more or less with it?
My
TK, you
thoughts.
want to take this?
Definitely less. And I'm not saying inflation doesn't exist. I'm not in the hyperinflation camp, which Darryl and I have gone back and forth on many, many times. But to me, So whatever asset you think is going to grow, all right? So I get my dollars, right? I can then invest it into it. So I sold my hard asset real estate. I've got my money. It's in my bank account. I own it. I can feel it. I know exactly how much it's worth at that very moment. Then I get to decide where it goes from there. And if I think it needs to go into stock markets, mutual funds, and another piece of real estate, my savings account, lend it to my friend down the street who's paying me 12%, crypto, anything that I decide to do with that money, I then have the option of doing so because it's a more stable currency that then gets to be put into something that I value, right? And I believe that with crypto or trading, real estate for like a bartering type of system, like for a stock, for example, I have much less certainty that I'm going to be able to do what I want to do with it, and that's my dilemma. So I know inflation's happening. I know that it's just not to the level that I believe is going to put us into any major crisis. I think they will raise interest rates and they'll get it back on track over the next decade.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's going to go crazy, but it's there, right? And it's there, and the dollar, I think, is like behaves and is treated and is really similar to these cryptocurrencies. I mean, what's the difference?
I just don't think it would be financially smart for someone to put their life savings into crypto and just hope.
No.
Because, yeah, they could do very well or they could not. And so I guess really the question would be, TK, is not so much crypto versus what we perceive as our regular monetary value of money, what we have now. Because I don't see cash that often. It's numbers in an account, right? So it's almost like, in its own way, the same thing.
Right.
But it's where you're putting that money. So, like, if your money's sitting in your bank account, it's going down, just based on inflation. If it's just sitting there doing nothing. If it's in crypto, it could go up, it could go down, who knows. But then the money in your bank account, if you put it into something like, that's why I keep buying properties, because it's, for me, it's like, it's just a forced plan where I can't touch it, it's in there, and I don't have to worry about it. And I know conservatively over the next 5-10 years, if just the fundamentals of the market remain how they are, it's probably going to be pretty good.
Agreed.
So
Absolutely.
I personally, because I know real estate, I know the history of the market, I'd want my money to be in properties because I understand it. But if I understood crypto, my argument would probably be a lot different.
So tell me now. Okay, so you are Tom Storey. You focus on condominiums, right? You must sell condominiums to investors. And here you are about to close in 3 weeks on a lakefront property cottage. Why didn't you buy condos?
This was a lifestyle purchase, not a strict numbers purchase. Because I own 2 condos as well.
Yeah. And so right now, what would you say about buying condos as an investment in Toronto?
It would depend on the reason why people buy condos in Toronto as an investment is because of the affordability of them compared to the other assets in the market. So you can't buy a house as an investment unless you have $1 million, right? So I think that's what it is. And I think if you're going to hold it long term, history has a funny way of repeating itself. You're probably going to be fine. And rents are going to move up when the borders open. I think it's almost like a foregone conclusion at this point. Like they've kind of stabilized now. They will move up as more people come here, and the adults have to go back to school, meaning the universities. And yeah, so if you were to put your money in a condo now, the way that I've looked at every investment that I've made in real estate, I've only ever sold an asset to move that money into another piece of real estate. It's a long-term game, and this isn't good like sales advice as a person that sells property, but like don't sell your property unless you have to. Like there's strategic ways to refinance and figure it out and move the money around. And I started with one very small condo 6 years ago, which has helped me build a equity-wise $1 million real estate portfolio. It's not because I'm a genius. It's because the boring investment long-term strategy works. But there's also lots of shiny things out there that will catch your attention, like crypto, like NFTs, that are fun, quick. And even if you notice right now, like if you see the Wealth Simple ads, it used to be all about long-term investments. And now all their ads are like, hey, you can buy crypto here. And here's when the stock market opens. And they're like trying to promote day trading because for their platform, they make more money that way. Yeah. So it's interesting to see the generation flip.
Yeah. Well, they're advertising to younger people now. Isn't the ad something like stocks be what?
Yeah,
like something stupid like that, right? Yeah.
that type of social media. Yeah. So Tom, are you seeing more condo investors now since we've last spoken?
A little bit
Last few months?
more, but a little bit more, but most are still, from our buyer perspective, are still end users.
Well,
And
what
and
are
I
they
think
buying?
the reason they're buying condos between $550 and $700,000. That's what they're all buying.
And
And
where?
from downtown Toronto, pretty much like 416
Close,
area code Toronto
as
proper.
close,
Oh,
as
wow.
close to downtown as they can get,
Yeah, yeah.
close to the
Really?
subway line as they can afford, right?
It's every single one says the same thing. I'm like, draw a box of where you'd want to live, and they draw like south to the water. They go north to Queen Street. They go east to DVP, and they go west to like
Bathurst.
Liberty Village. Yeah,
Okay.
they're just past
Bathurst,
Bathurst.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the
And
core
rentals now,
rentals.
now are
The
what's going on with
the
those?
articles are saying 2 months in a row that rental prices are going up.
They are. I don't service rentals anymore, so I'm not on the ground level doing it, but I've got a team member of ours that specializes with our rental clients, and they've been saying that they've been losing on a lot of multiple offers and rentals, which last year it was like, here's 15 options, what do you want? So you're starting to see inventory come down a little bit, and prices are getting better. It's definitely not where they were, but getting better.
Yeah, awesome. Good. So the condo market's just got a little bit more confidence behind it. And one of the articles that's out there right now is what's helping the condo prices is the unaffordable freehold prices.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like a dance.
It's the price gap.
Yeah.
It's
It's
like
like, what do you mean I got to spend $1 million to go into a house or buy a rental, or like, I don't
In
have that kind of money.
Barrie.
What are my options?
In Barrie.
Yeah. Yeah.
For a
So
semi.
you go to condos, right? You go to condos, you find a
the-
solution.
This is where it started at the beginning of the pandemic. This was a condo and this was a freehold property. And by the end of 2020, this was the gap.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like whenever the gap gets too big, you look at one asset class. And anybody that bought a condo in the peak, which was February of 2020, I can tell you now, today, prices are back exactly where they were at the peak. So it took 5 to 8 months of going down. They bottomed out in October last year. And from January 1st this year till now, they've gone up almost 14% back to where they were at the peak. So that
question
was
for
your
you
condo correction.
on valuation side. So if you were going to look at somebody's condo, like, you know how in 2020 we were, trying to keep the comps as more like as recent as possible, right? Just because it's been moving. Are you now saying, okay, there's not much activity this year in your building, but from February 2020 and earlier, there was these sales at these prices? Are you taking those into consideration?
We're actually, no, we're trying to just focus on 2021 data because there actually has been a lot of sales, and there's actually been way more condo inventory right now than there used to be. It's just being gobbled up 10 times faster than it was last year. So we actually have recent data to show that, hey, this is what today's price is. And in some forms, it's actually higher than last February in certain buildings. In other buildings, it's a little bit lower, but it's case by case.
So you try to avoid 2020 altogether if you're looking at comps for condos. They hold less weight.
Unless there's absolutely nothing to look at in 2021, then I try to avoid 2020, especially for helping buyers try to figure out what to offer on properties. If you're using 2020 data, you're not going to be in the ball game at all.
Yeah, it's out of date.
And what about any pre-construction action for you?
Yeah, we dabble in there. We certainly don't specialize in it. My opinion on pre-construction from the beginning is, early days condo boom, 2005, pre-con was cheaper than resale. And it was like, okay, this makes sense. Then they got to about even in 2008. By 2015, pre-cons became more expensive. And I remember standing at a condo launch when they opened the doors, and this was in 2016, and they said, our average price per square foot is $650, and the room like gasped. They were like, what? And everyone's like, what, are they crazy? And that building now sells for 1,200 square foot. So we're all wrong. But what I'm trying to get at here is, like, right now on average, your average downtown Toronto pre-con is starting at $1,300 per square foot.
More like $1,350.
Yeah, and your average resale is at $1,000. So is it worth 30% more?
No, but now the whole pitch is
Personally,
changed.
I don't think so.
The pitch has changed to now you're buying the future,
Tell us, Darryl.
right? You're buying
Tell
the
us.
future
Tell us about the
early.
future.
Well, this is what I hear. This is what they say. Now you're buying the future early, right? You're buying into the future with pre-cal. It used to be that you're getting a great deal early. Now it's turned into like you're buying into the future, right? Hopefully.
What are the benefits?
think-
What are the benefits of pre-construction? The legitimate benefits of pre-construction.
Okay,
For who?
longer deposit structure.
Mhm.
The deposit structure is over a period of time. You don't need to get the mortgage right away. And at the end of the day, you are buying something brand new. So I bought a pre-con in 2017 that's actually closing next week. And I bought it for $800 a square foot, and I'm going to be very happy when it closes. Like it was a great investment. But I picked a unique project. The thing with pre-con, which I think is hard for the general public to figure out, is there's so many projects at all times, and every agent's selling every project like it's the best thing ever. And I actually think, and I got to give the pre-con industry credit, they do a great job at marketing and making these things look sexy and like getting at VIP prices, which we all know means absolutely nothing. Like they do a good job. They do a better job than the resale industry. And the perception of the buyers is, oh, if I buy a pre-con, I'm getting a deal, which we know isn't true, but they do a better job marketing.
The buyers feel like they're getting a deal.
Well, and they're marketing to a different crowd. I mean, let's be honest. These are there's a tiny percentage of actual users buying these things. I mean, who the hell can buy something now and know what the hell they're going to be able to do 4 or 5 years from now? Like, can you imagine? Like, it's crazy. But there's so many people where that is the best way to get your money out of your country right now, right? So, I mean, let's be honest. That's what it's all about. We are building the rental supply through these investors who have to get their money out of corrupt nations.
And you asked me before who my buyers are, and I said they're end users. It's because the investors aren't buying resale.
Sure.
They're buying pre-con, and we don't have access to that data. Only the developers know.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's a few...
And I've heard high numbers there, right? Like we've heard some pretty high numbers there about, you're talking about investor versus end user or foreign versus domestic.
Well, if you talk either one, I mean,
I would just say investor versus end user.
Yeah, so investor
versus
versus
end
end user, you're in the majority. Like
beyond the majority, beyond the
50,
majority,
60% to investors. Yeah.
No, way beyond that, like way beyond. Like it probably has a 9 in front of it. Okay,
That's a high number.
When these buildings launch, when they finally launch 5 years later, and you see 96 units for lease on MLS in the same building, you understand who it was sold to. And that's been one of the things, right? Like if you're an investor, you don't mind that. This is a numbers game to you. But if I'm going to sell a condo to one of our buyers, I would probably say to them, let's try to get a building that's skewing towards the owner occupied over 50%, because nothing wrong with renting, but you're not going to treat it the same way as you would if you owned it.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen this happen in buildings.
How would you target a end user building?
You have to watch Tom's new video, 7 tips for buying a condo in Toronto, where he talks about all of this.
Well, enlighten me, please.
But the easy answer is in buildings that are established and have been around for a while, you're supposed to register all the rentals with property management, and this would actually show up in the status certificate. So the lawyer could review this and give you an idea. You could also just average it out and go on MLS and run the rentals in the past 2-3 years and try to get a sense. Like there's no perfect science. But if you see 50 rentals a year in a building with 250 units, you can do the math.
What's the highest rentals you've seen? Like what building?
In a building?
Yeah. Roughly.
That's interesting.
What was the one that just had a ton of Airbnbs in the pandemic? Or
ICE?
Was it 12 or 14 York ICE condos?
Maybe.
What was it? City Place, I think, was at like 75% or something at one point.
Probably. Oh yeah, that is.
I would say some buildings are probably at 90.
Yeah.
Wow.
But they have to be. No one's building rentals. I mean, where the hell are people going to rent? And what a beautiful entry point for an investor where, I mean, what's the alternative? You can't go buy a building with 100 units nowadays unless you have a $1 billion fund, right?
Yeah.
You
To build a purpose-built rental, good luck, or buy one.
Buy one. It's tough unless you've got billions or you're lucky, I guess.
Purpose-built rentals were trying to make a comeback in 2017, right before rent control was announced.
Yeah.
And then half of them dropped off, and a few of them have finished up now, but probably not at the pro formas they initially started building at.
A lot of them were in proposal as rentals in that time period, and most of them pivoted back to condo because the environment just completely collapsed on purpose-built rental.
Why did rent control? So in 2018, when they took away rent control, how did that affect purpose-built rentals? I would assume that more purpose-built rentals.
I don't think when the first rent control came in and it was a blanket rent control before Ford changed it, was when Wynn was the premier. The developers didn't know Ford was going to come in and change it after again.
Right. Yeah, so all of a sudden you went from seeing rents being able to escalate to the sky, right, when people moved out, to 1.8% per year.
And maybe now construction costs too, because I imagine with purpose-built rentals, the construction costs being all under one umbrella probably makes it a little bit more instead of passing it on to each individual investor. Because in purpose-built rental, you got a set return. We know, you're making cash flow, right? We know that these small investors buying these condos are negative cash flow, and they're willing to swallow that in each one of their units because they're making appreciation, right? And mortgage pay down. Where the purpose-built renter guys are like, we can't lose 10% a year on our pro forma. Like, how is that possible? Like, it just doesn't make sense. The numbers don't make sense. We have to turn it into a condo so that let everyone else lose 10% and they'll get paid 20 years from now when they sell it, right? And that probably makes it easier to justify.
What I've noticed too is we've got some savvy first-time home buyers who want to get into the market, live there for a bit, hold it, rent it out, jump to the next one. And they're specifically asking us, which are the buildings that don't have rent control?
Nice.
Right.
Smart.
Because basically, November 2018, if it was 18 or 19.
15th, 2018. Yeah.
That's the new blanket date, right? So anything finished after that does not have rent control. And I don't think most renters know that. And I think that would be something that renters renting places should understand what buildings they're actually getting into. Because I think they just think across the board there's still rent control where there isn't for a good portion of newly built condos.
But there's COVID policies right now. So if you don't want to pay your rent, just don't pay it. And the landlord can't do anything about it for a year. So
yeah, I'll say what I said at the very beginning is just try to be a good human for a bit here. And let's get through this together,
Yeah. Don't be a dick.
Yeah. Don't be a dick.
Get a t-shirt made. Throw on a real estate show.
Don't be a dick.
I'd wear it.
Nice. All right. Well, you're going to start to see merch soon. Once we hit 7 subscribers, we're going to start selling merch.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Hey, don't say your site's too high, okay? Yeah.
No. How's everything going for you on YouTube? You got a lot of people watching you now.
It's been good. YouTube was I never meant to build it into something. It was like these videos are being created for our clients anyways, and I had them, and I was like, well, might as well put it on YouTube so it will show up on my website. Like, that was the initial thought process. But now we're taking it a little bit more seriously. I've actually brought in some third-party editors now where I can create the content, go sell real estate, and my videos will still post every single week. So that's exciting.
Cool.
And it's continued to happen time and time again where I'll get emails from people that will say, hey, I've been watching you for X amount of time, whether it's 2 weeks or 2 years, and I'd like you to help us buy this. And it's like, I didn't know they existed. So just on a purely, also I run a business on a marketing side of things. It's been great and I enjoy it. Cool. I still can't really figure out how this all works.
No.
It's so
annoying. It's like you hit a good video, all kinds of people watch it, and you think the next one's going to the moon, and it's like, what the fuck? No one watched this one.
We've made it. Yeah, it's an emotional roller coaster. My niece told me her friend found a realtor off of TikTok,
Yep.
and that she's watching her TikTok videos and then said, that's the girl that I want to help me buy a house. So I think that that's a huge part of your business going forward. I think this is going to be a huge part of your business is going to be the people who are going to know you from YouTube and your social media, and that's the relationship that they're seeing the real you. They're seeing how you act. They're going, I trust that guy. He knows what he's talking about. That's who I want to help me with my real estate transactions. And I think that that is the future. I think that the traditional way is amazing and it's great, but it's nailing it in that one demographic. But the social media is going to be the younger demographics, and unless you're doing that, you're going to be left behind.
And it's a long game too, right? It's a consistency
Yep.
long game.
Yep.
But what
Everything.
a fucking
Content.
annoying ride, man.
That's what we're
Holy
doing right now.
cow.
We're just producing content every week.
Pump it
show,
out.
monthly stats show.
Here we
Just
have to
stay
talk.
consistent.
We got to talk about the most important thing going on right now in Toronto real estate, can we? This is the most important thing by a mile. Scarborough home price appreciation significantly outperformed downtown properties during the pandemic. And the best part, they figured out, where did they put it? Where did I read it? Scarborough Village. Look at this, Scarborough, 25%. Nothing else even has a 2 in front. Oh, yeah, it does. York. Damn. Scarborough. We're very bullish on Scarborough. Right here. Scarborough Village was the top performing neighborhood in the area with property values increasing by 31%. TK?
So
we love
it's
Scarborough.
based on relativity, right? So in 2018 or 19, the highest performing area was Malvern in all of Toronto, because Malvern was the cheapest price point to be able to get into. So of course, when prices started to rise again, coming out of the 2017 slump, there's this huge increase in Malvern. All of a sudden you can, Malvern was $500,000, $600,000 houses. And it was like, where did that come from?
But there's
So again,
space. There's space for the increase,
look on that
right?
map, northwest corner of the city, right? In that neighborhood, that's kind of rough. And then Scarborough, the areas were a little bit suppressed, and so we've had a huge increase in prices, which is great. Balancing out, which is important.
I wish I owned a property in the Scarborough Village in Scarborough right now.
On Kingston Road.
If I bought it like a year and a half or 2 ago, would have been like the best thing ever. We're very bullish on Scarborough here.
I can hear that. Can you guys hear me okay still?
Perfectly.
Yeah, no
Actually,
problem.
better now than the rest of the show. So, okay, last thing. Mr. Tom Storey, where are we in the market now? Does it feel slower, faster, and where are we heading in the next quarter?
So the inventory we were all waiting for still hasn't shown up. The inventory still hasn't come. But the buyer fatigue has arrived.
Yes.
And there is less buyers willing to play these silly games than there was previously. So the way that I'm looking at it is the market went from basically batshit crazy back to a regular good seller's market.
Ooh.
And now so when sellers go into the market, they have to understand that some of the prices you saw in March and April were insane market fundamentals. Where right now, it's a better overall market. You never want to be the person that gets caught on either end of it, but it hasn't significantly changed and prices haven't dropped, but they are. We were on a pace there where like the acceleration on a monthly basis was terrifying. And I don't think that can keep going the way it did. So to sum this up, like the market, I think the rest of the year is going to be a good market like we've seen in the GTA, but don't expect every property to list at $899 and sell for $1.3 million anymore. You're going to start seeing homes list for what they're actually worth, which is nice. It's a nice way of buying and selling real estate. God forbid.
Listing price meaning something again. You heard it here first.
But it's also going to be micro markets, because you were just talking about Scarborough, and like through the last year, actually the 416 area code in Toronto has not seen anywhere close to the price increases that suburban markets have seen. Milton, Hamilton, all these areas have gone crazy. Some like little cottage areas are up like 50%. So I think that's because those areas already started at much lower price points and Toronto was already expensive. But I actually think the GTA market and some surrounding areas still have a lot of room to grow. It just can't be at the accelerated rate we were seeing earlier this year.
No, but and a
Ooh,
lot
the
of
GTA market, room to grow. I like it.
well, there's room to
I
grow
like it.
everywhere,
Not
but
enough houses and places for people to live around here.
no. And
Right?
and what's interesting now is that like I think if you can buy something for 1.2 million, let's say, that's your budget. There's so many places to look now where like the average price is around that, right? So, you know, depending on your work life, depending on your lifestyle, you have so many options of where to live in a price point now. It's crazy. The problem is that you have to be a millionaire in order to own this stuff, right? But like
Yeah.
you could look at Barrie or Newmarket or Mississauga or Toronto or Scarborough. Like for 1.2 million, like you're basically everywhere now, right? But that's almost a starter home, isn't it? That's like a starter semi in almost all those places now. Can you even buy a house anywhere for 1.2 million and actually live in it?
Yeah,
There's lots
yeah,
of
yeah,
lots
yeah.
of
You can.
places.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, like within a 45-minute drive of Toronto.
Yes, there's lots.
Where?
Oh yeah, they exist. They exist.
That you
We
can
just
live
sold.
in?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We sold a semi in Central Toronto for 1.2 like 2 weeks ago, and 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom, unfinished basement, had one parking, totally livable, like not modern, renovated, but they exist.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, I see. I think what's going to happen is, see, municipalities are going to be starting to collect a lot more taxes, right? Assessments are going to be done again. Prices are going to go up. In the East Coast, taxes in some places are up 4 to 5 times because of how much price appreciation and how low the taxes were before.
East
Now that the
Coast
property's
or
sold.
east side of the
East Coast
city?
Maritimes, like
Okay,
the
yeah, yeah,
other provinces.
yeah.
So in Ontario, we're going to face the same thing. You're going to see MPAC start to reassess, and everyone's prices are going to go up. Maybe tax rates could change, and all of a sudden, the municipalities are going to be flooded in with extra revenue, and they're going to be looking at increasing transit options, increasing infrastructure, making it more big city like in all these small towns so that people are going to be able to justify staying there and living there and growing. People are leaving. We always talk about the immigrants always wanting to come to Toronto, and that's never really going to change. It's just how many people are going to be willing to leave Toronto and go into these other small municipalities. And like I had clients talking to me about Saskatoon the other day, and people are obviously moving all over Ontario, Thunder Bay, whatever. But there's going to be this huge increase in the lifestyle in these small towns that's going to make it more suitable for people, and that's what's going to keep those prices healthy. And then, like Tom said, I agree. Everyone's then going to say, okay, well, to be in the big city like Toronto, you got to pay an even bigger premium, and that's going to continue to push prices up here, which is good as well, right? I mean, it has to be more expensive in Toronto. The day that it gets more expensive elsewhere, there's a huge problem. That's not gonna last very long. We're gonna be in a in a whirlwind of trouble if that happens.
Well, and Toronto will slingshot past again.
Or those
Yeah.
or those will go down, right? Which is the fear, right? Is that urban sprawl creates all these price increases in these small town areas, and whatever those fundamentals that led to that disappear, and then those prices go back down, which actually hurts local economies. It's really bad for those small towns, which is what the locals in all these towns are screaming right now, saying these Toronto buyers are driving us into rentals or into smaller houses or whatever. So you have to be cautious of that, and that's got to be managed.
Hmm.
Right?
Well,
Toronto's a place to be.
it is definitely the place to be. There's definitely going to be more growth everywhere. We have to fit for whatever percentage comes to the GTA or even to Ontario. I mean, it's somewhere in the 40% range and more. Like, we have to fit these people somewhere. And they're coming. There is zero doubt that they are going to change that mandate, right? So it's probably a really great time to be in real estate in the next decade. I think we have to buckle up and hang on. I mean, it's like anything right now. It's way more volatile than it used to be. So if you look at the month-to-month graphs, it's going to be a little bit cuckoo, right? Because that's just how it is. But we looked at the 30-year chart on our stats show last week, and it's pretty, like, obvious. I mean, the pattern is up. right? It's just
Mhm.
up. So hang on to your hats, everybody. Even though you have real estate fatigue, it's time to wake up because it's going to get
Take a
nutty.
Red Bull or something.
Take a Red Bull.
Tom, are you dealing with any tenanted properties? So your clients, so this is a new trend too that we've noticed. So clients are calling us saying, I want to sell and my property's tenanted, and how to navigate that with everything. What type of stories could you share with us?
Yeah. There's sometimes they work out really well and tenants are great, and you always try to, from the very beginning, drop off, the Amazon gift card and say, hey, we're all on the same team here. Like, let's figure this out, and let them know exactly in an email exactly how this works. Here's what your rights are. Here's what it's going to look like. And just try to be as friendly as possible because there's just no winning those battles. Um, and so sometimes tenants are great and they're like, yeah, we were going to leave anyways. We'll make sure it's clean and you have perfect. And sometimes people just have, and again, it's not their fault, but they have no reason why they would want that house to sell.
Have you had anybody
So
refuse
it's kind of a
showings?
delicate situation.
Have you had anybody refuse
Yes.
showings
Yeah.
where they're like, no, you're not, nobody's coming into my property. I live here. COVID. I'm vulnerable.
For sure.
Not in 2021, but last year we had that several times. We had to take properties off the market, actually.
Wow.
Yeah. The beginning, right? Where there's a lot of unknowns, like March, April, those times.
The beginning, yeah.
Yeah. We had one this week.
And how can you blame them?
Yeah,
Like,
For sure.
They
In the
weren't
beginning,
mad.
everyone was just like, I don't know what to tell you. This could be serious. It could not be. I think now after a year of showings, and I always say this, and I have no data to back it up, but there has not been any cases attributed to real estate showings, any transmission that has caused, like a tenant says, I've been living at home, I haven't left my house, I've been just following the rules. These agents came in and now I got COVID. Like that story would make the news and everyone would find out about it, and Aria and Trev and everybody would be really, careful if that kind of story came to light, right? So I haven't heard that story yet. So I'm assuming with the thousands and thousands of showings with tenants home, there hasn't been any cases of transmission. That's what I'm hoping. But when we're looking at the protocols that we have in place, and you know what they are, right? From the gloves to the masks to the timing to the wiping to the not touching to the social distancing and all that kind of stuff, it seems like there can be a way to show a property safely with tenants home.
There absolutely can. And one thing we'd actually done recently is we just paid. We didn't pay, but we figured out with the seller. The seller paid for the tenant to go stay in a hotel for a week, and they were happy about it. They're like, yeah, okay, well, this is great, fine.
Good
And
idea.
we listed low, did the offer date, it all worked out fine. So you just gotta think of like what's the best way to do it that everybody's happy, because if the tenant's not participating, it's going to be a difficult sale.
Yeah. So we had one this week was the tenant said, no showings, I'm not leaving, I'm not doing anything, and I'm not paying rent. Right? So we did the offer date, we showed the basement, and we just told everybody and said, like, here's what it is. You buy the property, you're not seeing upstairs, you're not doing an inspection, you're not gonna even be guaranteed to ever get into that property, and you need to go and evict this guy when the time comes when you own the property. So
Did it sell?
again, yeah, multiple offers. Found a buyer who said, I'm going to buy the property. I'm going to live in the basement. We're looking to move into the whole house. So we'll serve them the N12. If it takes a year, no problem. We did a damage deposit so that something's held in trust in case something gets damaged. And we guaranteed them 4 months worth of rent for him. So after that, the rent payments are done. And we sold it for $55,000 over asking, So.
I mean, if that doesn't show you our supply demand issue and what people are willing to take on to get a property, I don't know what would.
It's crazy. Yeah. I read an article today that said something about the GTA market cooling, but if anything, it's just the calm before the storm. And I think like people are smart. Like it's a very educated market. So people have been everybody's just educated. They know that it's like too hot. Maybe as a collective, everybody was like, okay, like this is fucked, man. We got to chill out right now. I don't know. I mean, what the government didn't do anything, did they? Did they do anything that freaked people out, that slowed it down?
No, I mean, like they changed the stress test on June 1st, but that's not really gonna do much.
I don't think so either. Right? I mean,
It's
how many guys conventional mortgages are maxing out their budgets all the time, like 5%? right?
Rarely. It's gonna hurt that first time home buyer that had just scrambled to save enough, and now they can afford 5% less, based on the new rules.
If they have, yeah, if they have their 20% down, because I think high ratio mortgages won't be affected. That's what they're saying. So that, like, still, if you're gonna buy for $1 million, and now you can buy like a 950 $1 million mortgage, and now you can get a $950,000 mortgage. Chances are there's different interest rates you can tweak. There's little things that guys can do that swings the debt service and everything else like that the way that they want it to. There's B lender options. Like, there's always going to be an option for someone to still buy the property that they want.
But there's a double dip going on. So not only the rate, like the prices are going up like crazy, right? So now you get scalped a little bit on what you can spend, and the prices of everything around you went up, right?
Sucks. But buyers seem to be like, buyers that I'm talking to, like, I know there's a few who are like, oh, I'm going to wait till whatever, but most of those guys end up coming back to the market going, okay, never mind. Let me figure this out.
They're hurdles.
But for the most part, anybody who's motivated right now is understanding. They look at the comps from last month and they say, yeah, I mean, the market's going up. Last month with 830, I got to make sure that I pay at least that, because they know the direction of the market. Like you said, I don't think the prices have come down. I think that just the way that buyers are willing to engage with the sellers and for different properties has definitely changed. That's something.
There's less overall showings right now. There's less showings we've seen in our properties, but the sale price ends up being the same. And there was a point there that every sale price would beat the last one. Like, it was like no matter what. Mm-hmm. That's stopped a little bit. Like, it's like they'll get at least what the last one got, but not everything's beating the last one by 30 grand anymore.
For sure. Do you guys use Broker Bay?
We do, yeah.
Yeah. So do you ever go to the analytics things and look at the showings and all that kind of stuff? I like that, right?
Super interesting.
What's this? What is this?
Just like our, I don't know.
It's like the back end showing system. How we book appointments on properties, and based on a lot of big companies use them now. That they have analytics that they put out, which give you a sense of how the market's trending based on showing activity and offers registered.
Exactly. Those two bits of information are really helpful to show people.
And where are we trending? Down right now?
Probably up again, but it went way down the last time I checked, which is a couple weeks ago. Like, it plummeted in the beginning of
that's a great thing to track, April, TK, middle regularly with us. If you have access to it, yes, that would be great.
Yeah, definitely a metric that I think is very helpful.
Oh my God, so that's Tom, like motion of the market right there.
Yeah, for 35,000 brokers or something like that. Like, it's a pretty big platform. They got a lot of people. Wow. So Tom, we're right at the end of the show. So just kind of, again, advice to the listeners. Shameless plug, so people know how to follow you, and let us know. What to expect for the rest of 2021.
Sure. So my advice to listeners about the market is that if anybody tells you with certainty that they know what's going to happen, they are lying to you. We don't know. We know we can look at the past and look at the numbers and make guesstimates on what we think could happen, but we don't know. We don't know. Even the economists don't really know. They're making trend lines and predictions.
They know less than us. Come on.
Because they're just numbers. They're not actually on the ground level. If you want to check us out at all, we're probably most active actually on Instagram. It's at the Storey Team, Story spelled Storey, or you can check out our YouTube. It's just my name. You'll find it. And yeah, my last piece of advice is just real estate's the long game. It's boring, but it's a great way to build generational wealth. I'm just trying to stack up properties here as much as I can, and that's going to be that will be what will serve my lifestyle. It's not going to be income or business. It's going to be properties.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
Appreciate it. Thanks for doing the double decker on the show here. Hopefully it'll be a triple decker at one point.
Can't wait to be back.
Our field expert in resale condos, coming to you live from his family cottage, Mr. Tom Storey. Thank you so much, bud. Nice to see you.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Tom.
Was my internet terrible?
No,